And welcome to today's literacy session. Now you'll find that this has got the same structure of last week's literacy session, however the content will have changed. Now you may want to get a dictionary to use in this session, or if you haven't got one, if you've got access to a Google search engine or a website search engine, that would be fantastic. Now we're looking at homophones again, words that sound the same but are spelt differently and have a different meaning. Now, what I would like you to do is, like I said, use a dictionary or a search engine to look up the word. So, for example, the first word here is might. So, I might like to do that. However, the homophone of might is mite. It's like the little tiny dust mites that you can get in the carpet. So I want you to try and think and find that homophone and then write a sentence showing your understanding of the two words. So for example, you might find a mite in your carpet. Now the next word is minor, then moat, muscle, none, pain, and pair. So if you give yourself now about 10 to 15 minutes to look up those words, to find out the meanings, and then to write your sentence in your exercise books that we gave you. So if you'd like to pause this slide now, and then we'll move on to the answers. So here are the answers for you. So we've done the first one. So the second one, minor. So you may have made a minor mistake, or a young person is also called a minor with an OR. However, there might be a miner, so predominantly a man who works down a mine. So the miner made a minor error down the mine. Now, moat and moat. Now, moat, M-O-T-E, isn't a very common word to use. So a moat is like tiny particles or dust or tiny amounts of something. So you could say the moat around the castle contained dust motes. Okay, muscle, the first one. Now I always say muscle, muscle and skizzers when I go to spell them, because I find that helps me not to forget the C that is in the word. So my muscles hurt after opening mussels all day. So mussels are a type of crustaceans. It's like a seafood that you can eat, and they're often in a shell. Now none and none. So none of the shops near me had nun costumes. Pain and pain. So the second pain, the homophone pain, is like a pane of glass. Okay, so the pane of glass shattered and left me in pain, left me in discomfort. And then finally, the last one, pair and pair. I bought a pair of tights and a pair at the shops. Okay, if you do want to take a screenshot of your work and email it in to us, feel free to do so. We will be giving rewards for people who do send their work in. So the next task. Now here we're looking at plurals of words. So something that is more than one. So again, you can use a dictionary or a search engine to find the plurals of each of these words. So these words are singular. There's only one of, but what you have to do to them to make it plural. Now also what you could do is find out where these words originated from. So the words are cactus, child, crisis, louse, ox, sheep, and stimulus. So again, I want you to pause the slide where we are now, and I want you to take the time to find out the plural of those words, and also perhaps where they originated from, where they came from originally. So here you go. The plural of cactus is cacti. The plural of child is children, and that originates from English. The plural of crisis is crises, and that is Greek. Louse becomes lice. So if you've got head lice, they're in your hair and there's loads of them. However, the singular of lice is louse, and that is originated from Latin. Now, ox becomes oxen, but look at sheep. So we might get caught out there. So it's not sheeps, it is sheep. You may have one sheep, you may have 5 sheep. And then finally, the last one, stimulus becomes stimuli, and that originated from Latin. So the next task now, as you can see here, I would like you to find the definitions of these words. So what do these words actually mean? Now, you may recognise these 10 words because when you came to us and you did your baseline assessments, you were given 60 words in a spelling test. And some of these 10 were actually in that spelling test. So if we have a look, the first one is abscess. Number 2, principle. Now, principle is also a homophone. So there are actually 2 different types of principle. Number 3, accommodate. So have a look there at the 2 C's and the 2 M's. Number 4, occurred. Again, the 2 C's and the 2 R's. Colossal, initials, cautious, efficient, frequently, and catalogue. Okay, so the work has got a little bit more difficult, but I do want you to find out the definition. So yet again, if you want to pause here, look in a dictionary or go on that search engine to find out what these words mean. So I want you to pause now, and in the next slide, we will find out the answers. Okay, so the first one, an abscess. So if you've got an abscess in your mouth, it might be really painful, it might be swollen, and that abscess could contain pus. Okay. Now, principle, this way of spelling it, ending in LE, it's a belief about the way you should behave or the way you should do something. So if you've got really good, strong principles, it's a real firm belief in doing something the right way. Okay. Now, accommodate. If a building can accommodate someone, it has enough room. Or if you want to accommodate a friend, maybe you've got somewhere for them to stay. Occurred. So when something occurs, it happens. So if an idea suddenly occurs to you, you've suddenly thought of it. Okay, colossal. So if you say that something's colossal, you are emphasizing that it is very, very large. Now, initials. Sometimes you're told to put your initials next to something that you have signed or something that you have changed. So what initials are the first letter of your forename, your first name, and the first letter of your surname, your last name. So what you would do, so for example, you know my name. So my first name begins with C, so I'd put a capital C and a full stop. Then for my surname, which begins in F, I would put an F and a full stop. So my initials would be C, full stop, F, full stop. Now, cautious. If you are being cautious, you act very carefully to avoid danger. If you're efficient, you do something successfully without wasting time. So you might be very efficient at your job, so you're very, very good at it. You don't waste time. If something happens frequently, happens often or is repeated. Now, finally, this is what some of our students actually get stumped on. So the word catalogue, and it's also in one of our reading tests. So if you catalogue something, you make a list of things. So let's have a think. You may have, when you're younger or even now, you pick up a paper copy of the Argos catalogue. So that catalogue has got a list and it shows you all the things that is available in Argos. You could also catalogue things in a library, all of the books that you've got, or all the artifacts. You might catalogue all the things that you have in a museum. Okay. So the next one, we're looking at our word of the day. And the word of the day here is extreme. So again, I would like you to pause this and I want you to work through this bit of information. So the first one is, can you find out the meaning of the word extreme? And number 2, I want you to think of all the synonyms, so words which are similar to extreme. I then want you to find the antonyms, so the words that are opposite to extreme. And then I want you to write a sentence with the word extreme in it. Okay, so again, I'd like you to pause the clip here before we go through the answers together. So again, give yourself about 10 minutes to find out this information. So the meaning of the word extreme. Now it's actually got a couple of meanings. So there's one, the adjective, the descriptive word, great. So it might be beyond anything that would be usual or what might be expected. So if something is extreme, it wouldn't necessarily be usual. Or it could also mean the adjective, the descriptive word, furthest. So it could be the furthest point or to the greatest degree. Also, people may have extreme opinions. So that is normally beyond the usual range of variety, and it may seem or would seem unreasonable to most people. So synonyms, words that are similar to extreme, are utmost, ultimate, great, supreme, furthest, final, or very. Now, the antonyms, the opposite to extreme, could be moderate, inferior, being lesser than, lowest, mild, least, or near. So let's see how we could use the word extreme in a sentence. You need to use extreme caution, as the steps are very slippery. So if you don't want to slip over on the ice or the steps, you have to be very cautious. The extreme cold kept most people indoors. So again, if it's really, really cold, it's so extreme, okay, you'll need to stay indoors. At the extreme end of the lake, so the furthest part of the lake, there is a hunting lodge. And then finally, you could say of somebody that he or she is a religious extremist. So they may have perhaps unreasonable points of view that the majority of people don't agree with. So you would say that they're an extremist or they have an extremist views. Okay, I'd like you to take a look at these two pictures. Now, as you can see, I want you to really have a good think about what is going on in these pictures and if there's anybody in the room with you or anybody that you can speak to about these. So what I'd like you to do is this. So for the picture on the left-hand side, I want you to think about, would you live somewhere that experienced extreme weather? And then what impact would it have on your daily life? So, for example, in Florida, in the United States of America, or in Barbados, in Jamaica, okay, you might find that there are extremes of weather. So it might be absolutely boiling hot. It might be 30 to 40 degrees during the day. But then in the afternoon, there might be some flash flooding. So some really heavy rain for an hour. And then the sun comes out again and it dries it all up. Also, at some parts of the year, they have a hurricane season. So there might be hurricanes or tornadoes where the buildings and the structures that are surrounding them are actually knocked down and brought down to the ground. So could you live somewhere that experienced extreme weather? And also, what impact would that have on people's daily lives? Also, if you look at the picture in the top right-hand side, that seems pretty extreme to me. You can see the motorcyclist off the bike. You can see the mountains in the background. So what to you counts as an extreme sport? And do you think extreme sports are safe? So again, if you'd like to spend some time pausing the screen and talking to somebody around you about what you think about those questions. Okay, getting on to today's recommended read. So as you know, I'm a massive Robert Muchamore fan and I'm always singing his praises. So by looking at this front cover here, I want you to think about what this novel might be about. And I want you to take your time to think about that. Also, I want us to look at the opening chapter from Class A. Okay, it's an absolutely incredible novel. So I want us to read the extract now from this chapter, and I want you to think about what else the novel could be about from this opening. So what genre, what type of text do you think it is? And how does this opening engage us as a reader? Again, you can give a verbal response to somebody near or around you, or you can give a written response. Class A. Billions of insects fizzed about in the sunset. James and Bruce had given up trying to swat them off. The boys had jogged 10 kilometres along a twisted gravel path. It was uphill, heading towards a villa where two 8-year-olds were being held hostage. Better give us a minute. James huffed, leaning forward and resting his palms against his knees. I'm wiped. If James had wrung out his T-shirt, he could have filled a mug with the sweat. I'm a year younger than you, Bruce said impatiently. You should be the one pushing me. It's that gut you're carrying. James looked down at himself. Give over. I'm hardly fat. Not exactly thin either. You're going to get crucified at your next medical. They'll put you on a diet and make you run all that off. James straightened up and drank some water from his canteen. It's not my fault, Bruce. It's genetic. You should have seen the size of my mum before she died. Bruce laughed. There were 3 toffee crisp and 1 Snickers wrapper in our bin last night. That's not genetic. That's you being a pig. Okay. So again, from looking at the opening extract from that chapter, what do you think the novel's about? Okay, so if you have a look at what James and Bruce are doing, why they're going towards the villa where 2 8-year-olds are being kept hostage. Okay, look at the interaction between Bruce and James and the way Bruce speaks to James, even though he's a year younger than him. Okay, and look at the fact that, you know, James is obviously struggling a little bit with his health there. And also then Bruce, obviously they've got a good relationship because Bruce is taking the mick out of him a little bit, but they're laughing about it. So how does that opening engage us, and what do you think the novel could be about? Okay, looking now at American words and then seeing what they are in English. So what I want you to do is look at the American English words, and I want you to find the British English equivalent that we use in the United Kingdom. So I am going to put on a dodgy American accent here, so I apologise now if it's a bit cringy. So what are these words in British English? Highway, garbage can, gasoline, French fries, closet, diaper, elevator, period. Now, this period is actually a punctuation mark. Sidewalk and Snickers. Or sneakers. So if you give yourself about 5 minutes for that, obviously feel free to look them up if you need to. So if you want to pause this slide first, and then we'll come on to the answers. So as you can see, the highway is actually a motorway. The garbage can is a dustbin. Gasoline is petrol. French fries are chips. The closet is a wardrobe. A diaper is a nappy. The elevator is a lift. A period is a full stop. So you may be writing a sentence, and if I was an American, I might say, make sure you put a period at the end of your sentence. A sidewalk is a pavement, and sneakers are trainers. I wonder how many of them you actually got correct. And then finally, today's Boggle session. Now, Boggle, what you can do with all of those 16 letters that are there, you need to create as many words as possible using letters in the grid here. So these words can be made by going up, down, left, right, or diagonal. The letters, however, must touch. So for example, if we go in the top right hand corner now, if you go down from the top, go diagonally to the T, from A to T to E, you have the word 8. If you start at the word at the letter E in the second column down, E, A, and then diagonal to T, you've got eat. Now, there are actually 94 answers. If you would like to gain a reward, what we'd like you to do is do as many as you can. You can email us them, or you can take a screenshot of the words that you've got and then send it to us, maybe on the Instagram account. And the person or people that have got the most words, okay, will gain a prize. Now, just to let you know, the most so far that we've had in school so far is 36 words. So let's see if you can beat that. So thank you very much for taking part in today's literacy session. I hope you've enjoyed the range of tasks, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.